Time to work on the van again. Got some paint now, and we're gonna finish making those brackets and paint them, and hopefully get a lot done. So we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna ride this Tesla to the back. Alright, this was just some clips I filmed while we were working at my brother's house. Big shout out to him. He has the CNC plasma table. He's got the bender. He's got a lot of the fab skills and just the second pair of hands and the other brain and everything else that I would need to do this whole project. So big shout out to him. He's a huge help. But I didn't film too much. You know, we kind of bounce around from working on the van to working on his truck to playing with his son to getting ice cream and back to work, and we kind of piddle paddle at it, but it works. And so here we bent all the engine mounts, we bent the trans mount, and then I took them home with me to paint. And once they were painted, I brought them back to his shop. We installed everything, installed the engine for the last time, and then I finally brought the entire van back home to my shop to finish up everything else. And this is just a few clips from that. Painting. Got the mounts back at my shop. This is for the Hemi. These bolt onto the unibody on each side. This is the transmission cross member, and that's all we got to mount the engine. It's real easy. These three things we made, my brother made them for me, so they're custom. I think we're going to be able to put together a kit for the engine and sell that eventually. The transmission is going to be case by case, really, so that's going to be on your own if you ever want these. But we're painting these today. We're going to use some enamel. What I've got is the Rust-Oleum black, professional black in a gallon. And then I've got Tractor Supply, or for you Northeasters or Canada people, I think it's TSC. I don't know why, but the name's a little different. The Magic hardener and reducer. The reducer so we can spray it. The hardener is because spray paint doesn't have a hardener in it, and that's usually why it flakes off. Also, what else is here is my gas tank. This is a brand new tank. It's only about 2 years old, so it's not brand new, but it's newer than the 52-year-old one that came out. It's a repop, and what I did was I just Rust-Oleum professionaled it when I got it and scuffed it down. Obviously, that didn't hold too well to rocks and coolant getting on it and whatever else, rear end fluid, transmission fluid. I think I leaked every fluid besides oil. So that didn't treat that too well, so we're also going to strip this and Raptor line it, and we're going to bring them back to Baton Rouge, back to my brother's house, put the mounts back in, you know, lower the van onto the engine, get it out all together. This flash piece, which is why this one has sort of a gray finish. You can see this isn't blasted, it's still, you know, the oiled metal. That's what I got. Blasted this because it was really rusty. Blasted the top of that because something got on it. And we're going to etch it first with concrete etch. And it says concrete and metal, but it says concrete really big on it. And it says that kind of takes off some rust too. So this isn't perfect, but I think it'll be handled. It'll handle everything on these. Then let that sit. I think it's 10, 15 minutes or something. You hose it down. You dry it with a blow gun. And then I'll mix the paint in a little Harbor Freight gun that I got on sale for $9. And then we'll paint them. Be good to go. here's all the dog toys and towels. I just washed them in the dryer. But we got our mixing cup thing with the measurements on there, reducer and hardener. And so it says 1 pint of reducer to 1 gallon of paint, and this is 8 ounces to 1 gallon. So do the math. We're only mixing a pint, which is 16 ounces. So we're gonna do 2 ounces of reducer and 1 ounce of hardener. Alright, so we're about to paint. I got my sandblasting suit on, which is actually just a really nasty paint suit. And I don't want to get this on me. It's going to be hard to clean up off my skin. I've already had a spill on my hand already. So I'm going to go paint. Got this on. I forgot my respirator, but I got the mask that saved the world. So, you know, it should be even better than the respirator, right? Got everything sprayed and it got dark on me, so I'm trying to use my flash, and you probably hear my feet. It's kind of sticky on the ground. The paint's still a little sticky too, but whew, did that come out nice. That's way nicer than I expected. Of course, now thinking about it after, I do have a flattener in the shop I could have mixed in with it. It's for like one-shot sign paint for like pinstripe paint and stuff, and it probably would have worked in this because that's an enamel too, but whoops, so forgot about that. But so I guess I'll just have glossy parts, which is fine with me. But whew, did these come out slick. Very good, very nice. That is just incredible. Phoo-wee! Well, these look good. I cannot believe how nice these came out. The other brackets are over here hanging on the motorcycle jack. Look at that. These came out way too nice. That's way too nice. That's more than good enough for what we're doing. Jesus. part, this is how it sits in the van. So this is how it sits in the van. And this isn't going how I thought it would. So now, I'm gonna be spraying this top in the same paint that we sprayed those brackets and mounts with. So what happened was I thought I cleaned the gun well enough for it to sit for 45 minutes to an hour to tack up so I could flip it and do this other side. And that wasn't the case. So the gun got clogged. So as I was trying to clean the gun, and during that hour, you know, the hardener's already mixed in the Rapid liner, and the bottle started getting hard, but it was still, you know, sprayable, I think. I even did a little spray, and it sprayed weird because the gun was messed up. You can see that versus what it used to do. So, trying to clean the gun and everything else, I left the cap off of the Raptor liner liter bottle, which is, now the whole bottle got hard in the 10 minutes that I was trying to clean the gun. So, trying to save the gun still, it's over there soaking. And I'll mix up a little bit of paint. I'm not gonna measure it really. Whatever comes out, and spray that top. I'll paper it off, I guess. All right, got it sprayed with the that enamel. There's some dirt in it and stuff, but I'm not too worried about it. It's sprayed and it shouldn't rust, so that's the good part. Pretty much this whole top piece is like tucked into the van against the floor. So I'll have to space it down for the new fuel pump a little bit, about 1.5 inches, something like that. But it'll still be kind of protected. So the underneath is Raptor lined and the top's painted, and we're good to go. I'm happy with it. Got the nice two-tone tank that I really didn't want to do because of the extra work, and took less work than trying to get that gun unstuck. So here it is. I'm about to untape it, pull it inside. All right, and it's gonna dry overnight. It's pretty much done, besides cutting the hole, which I'm kind of nervous about doing that now that everything's kind of finished painted, but I'll throw some tape on it first, I guess. You see the liner on the bottom, the paint on the top with some dirt in it. No big deal. I mean, it's slick enough. I think most of that, what I'm calling dirt, was actually lint that was left over from a rag from when I wiped it. But I mean, you'll never see this thing. It'll be so tucked up under the van, and the van's so close to the ground. You'll see. I think from about here down, if that. All right, I just did what I've been dreading for months, and that is cutting this hole in the tank for the new fuel pump. Tired? Rough day? Yeah, me too. Oh, the fuel pump in. So next thing now is to try to put the tank back in the van. So I got some parts from Send Cut Send that'll help me mount the shifter and the gauges, and it's all things that I drew up in my computer through Adobe Illustrator. Sent over to them, they cut it out and mailed it to me. So let's see what I got. First up, for the shifter, I have kind of like an adapter plate, and then just kind of, for now, a little makeshift bezel. I do need to come back and trim these to the actual radius, I guess, of the dash. It does have like an inset crown into it, or point, and I'll have to trim that later to fit, but they got kind of close. I'm probably just gonna sand it. So this is the shifter with you know, everything off of it. It's got the handle taken off, the big T handle from the charger, and so the original shifter, don't have it here. It's very similar bolt pattern as this, but just narrower, and that's what this bracket kind of does. So it does have two shorter holes here, and the shorter holes are for the new shifter, and I figured on this side I'm just gonna have the bolts kind of angle out a little bit. Should be fine. So it would mount like this on top. So this will go on top. Some bolts go through these holes into these holes. Bolts from this hole to these and then the inner bolts will just be short. And these 4 holes, these inner 4 holes, will mount to the back of the dash where the original shifter bolted in, and then it'll, and then the shifter will also mount to these 2 holes and these 2 holes. Hold it all together, hold it on the dash, below the dash. That's done. And then this part has 3 holes in it that are 3 of the 4 original mounting holes for the original bezel. And it actually goes with this angle to the bottom. And this angle to the bottom allows me to run this boot. And it has little spots in it for the clips. And I need to actually modify this a little bit. I'll be taking this plug off because I'm not using this handle. I'm using the Barton Industries handle, which is, ta-da, right here. So I've already got it like partially kind of assembled. Anyway, so this is the Barton Industries handle. I think that's the name. Barton Industries. And you get, park reverse neutral drive, and then it allows you to use this stock box so you can move it over and get the downshift and the upshift, or the Tiptronic or whatever they call it. You reuse the original boot, so I'll be able to retain the plastic clip to clip into the bezel. You use the original boot. You take this all apart, you get the glue off the leather, you pull the leather off of the original handle, you put it on here, you run a zip tie, I think is something they give you that runs in this groove, pull it all through, and it actually looks really clean. And I'll have a handle that looks like this, somewhat close to the original one, which was kind of a ball with inset sides. It was black and silver. This is just a ball, black and silver, that'll hang out of the dash. I think it'll look fine. It might be a hair long that I'm worried about, but it is threaded. The ball just threads on here. So if it is long, maybe I'll be able to machine down this length and re-thread it and be able to shorten it. So this is the gauge. This is the original 2021 Charger gauge cluster with all the crap removed off of it, the big curvy face and the stuff. So that's what you get. All right, so we've got that plate, which is like a backer that will go underneath. I've got this lens that is clear acrylic. You can see it's clear acrylic. That goes on top, and it also has matching holes that match the backing plate. So bolts will go through that, kind of sandwiching the gauges and the backing plate together. That will hold the face onto the gauges. And then I got this spacer, because I think when the gauges are mounted, they'll be inset just a hair from the bezel. So I got this as like a spacer to kind of push on that. That'll kind of fit on there like so. The bezel, and same thing, I need to trim these edges to fit the dash, but they should fit right on top. And eventually, you have a big sandwich of metal, acrylic, there's an aluminum spacer, and then the steel bezel. Here's a close-up shot of what the gauges should look like. There's no, the clear acrylic isn't on there right now, but it does have everything else. It has a little spacer, the aluminum spacer, and then the bezel on top. So I'm hoping that when this steel is painted black, you'll see kind of like the highlight of the aluminum around there, kind of give it a neat look. If it looks weird, then I'll paint that black too, but it's 2 different materials for a reason. And give it some kind of depth. And this is kind of like what I'll be looking at on the dash, and the shifter will be, right next to it. So kind of like that. So hopefully it looks okay. I know it'll look kind of plain, and it looks like bent sheet metal, but that's fine. That'll work for now. It'll get the job moving. These are the gauges, and kind of assembled somewhat. I already see that I need to make a revision on the back plate. In the center of the gauge, I need to run part of the back plate out to the side, and then run another bolt on these edges. And that way, when the gauges are hanging from this front plate, it's not pulling that up, because it's slightly flexing. And also to help me locate the gauge on this whole jig, so that I don't hit a big bump and all of a sudden the gauges aren't lined up with the hole in the bezel anymore. So, and probably whenever I make the new bezel, it'll probably self-locate somewhat. But for now, with just the piece of sheet metal, it doesn't. So it's kind of play, you know, tighten these up, loosen them, tighten them up, loosen them, you know, kind of put the bezel on top, make sure they line up, tighten them, all that. So, but yeah, I want to do a walk-in overview of what I've got done now. The video is kind of jumpy, and you didn't see me put in the tank and things like that, and the gauges are a little jumpy, but tank is in, rear axle is in with the pinion change, and it's got the flange back on it now, so I don't need to run U-joint anymore. I'm trying to run a CV joint, so hopefully I'll be ordering a drive shaft soon. All the fuel lines are ran all the way from the tank to the engine, and then the gauges are painted, or the bezels are. Looks a lot better in here. You know, it's still not done. I'm still waiting on the parts for the revisions on the gauges, but the bezels are painted. I think the dash is dirty. It's not really matching that well. And I put the paint probably a little heavier on the bezels than I did the dash, so they don't really match, but from far away they look okay. Working on the gas pedal now, finally. And so gas pedal mount, drive shaft, wiring, transmission cooler lines, and we will probably be starting this thing. Can't wait. You know, my brother's been a big help. Can't thank him enough. And we'll see if I can get this thing going soon.